40 years in 5 minutes. I thought I'd start with some anecdotes, and I tried a couple out on my wife, and she said, don't. She said, they're rather defamatory, you may be sued for libel. So on to the rest of the talk. Some of you may have read the West Australian headlines a few weeks ago, which were entitled Vision, Determination and Teamwork. It should have been applied to the Royal Perth Foundation. It actually referred to the America's Cup win by the Australia 2 yacht with this wonderful wing keel. And that was also 40 years ago. It's the 40th anniversary. But it could equally apply to the Royal Perth Foundation, the Royal Perth Medical Research Foundation, in terms of vision, determination and teamwork. And the original vision, as far as I can gather, was actually from Victor Driscoll, who was administrator of the Royal Perth Hospital at that time. And he foresaw that with every medical crisis that arose, and yes, they did have crises 40 years ago, that the first thing to be cut in the budget would be research. And with that in mind, he set up the Research Foundation, the Royal Perth Research Foundation, to both raise funds and protect funds from the vicissitudes of whatever was happening in the rest of the world. And that was really visionary. Now, he recognized the essential role of research in a teaching hospital. He also had a masterstroke in that he arranged for the purchase of a large block of land in 50 Murray Street, adjacent to the Royal Perth Hospital, which he purchased for the Royal Perth Foundation for the princely sum of $1. Now, what an investment that was. And he had recognized that research within the hospital precinct at the time, the research that was going on was already outgrowing the facilities. So that's, in a way, when I first became involved, just on a personal note, it was with Victor Driscoll, my wonderful late colleague, Professor Bob Van Dongen, and the then CEO, Rex Joyner, that this helped to fund and to establish the major building, the major research facility at 50 Murray Street, which many of you will now recognize. And it's within this building, which eventually had 5 stories built with laboratories, purpose-built clinical research areas, that we've been able to, or the foundation has been able to, attract outstanding researchers and to establish teams, multidisciplinary teams, combining clinicians right through to basic scientists, dietitians, psychologists. Yeah. So what about some of the just a few of the things that the foundation funds? Well, there's no shortage of ideas at the Royal Perth Hospital amongst the clinical, nursing and allied health staff. The problem is time in a busy hospital. So over the past 4 decades, the foundation has funded some of the greatest minds in Western Australia at different stages of their career, and some of them are here today, with a view to unlocking new discoveries. For example, the practitioner fellowships. They've provided up to 50% of dedicated research time for up to 3 years for some of our leading clinicians and scientists. For example, Professor Fiona Wood, for her wonderful work on burns healing. Steve Webb, perhaps a less familiar name, but a great intensive care specialist whose national trials have changed the face of what fluid any of us should get replaced if we end up in intensive care. And that's changed the pattern of practice worldwide. How do you even start? Begin with an idea if you're working in a busy hospital. Well, the foundation has funded many small seed grants which really kickstart research or enable research to go through to completion. And early awardees include the state's only Nobel Prize winner, Barry Marshall, working with John Warren. And Barry was then a medical registrar in the hospital. I was going to say a humble medical registrar, but Barry's not humble. it's very difficult to maintain a career in medical research once you get into it. So the foundation has funded a number of postdoctoral scholarships, and you'll hear one excellent one speak today, so that they can continue their groundbreaking research for many, many years. And that is so important. Well, one of the biggest influences on the Royal Perth Research Foundation have been the generous donations by Ray Dobney. And Ray Dobney, when he was a patient at the hospital, donated a generous $5 million to research, with one proviso, that it was matched with $5 million by the state government to set up what is now the Ray and Bill Dobney cell and tissue culture laboratories at the Royal Perth Hospital. And they are at the absolute cutting edge of clinical research that is applied to patients throughout the state and possibly throughout the country. And Ray also left a very substantial will, in his will, a very substantial gift to the foundation, and that has enabled the foundation to grow and develop more, for example, to establish the Dobney Chair of Hypertension Research. And this, as you will gather, was the first appointee. He's here, he's going to talk today, Marcus Schleich, on his wonderful research on hypertension, its treatment. And if you want to get any advice on high blood pressure, you know where to go. Well, the importance of integrating medical research into a teaching hospital really cannot be overstated. It's been described as a virtuous circle. And it's virtuous because if you've got very good research going on in a teaching hospital, it attracts outstanding staff. It enables you to keep outstanding staff. It also then enables the translation of research very rapidly into practice in this state initially, whether it's new drugs, new surgery, maintaining your health in old age, with the example of Leon Flicker and his colleagues, whether it's getting your cholesterol lowered most efficiently, with my very good colleague down the front there, and also whether you're going to be admitted in the emergency department with the best evidence of treatment. So there are so many ways in which translation of research comes about because you've got the best people who are engaged in clinical trials and get the best drugs, the best nursing, the best physiotherapy applied very rapidly. There's one other thing about having research, well, more than one, but one of them is there's very good evidence that if you have research embedded in the teaching hospital, the death rate is lower, patients are healthier when they come out, and the cost of running that hospital is lower. And that is very well worth remembering. But the other thing I was going to mention is there's a lot of stress in the health system at the moment, a lot of stress amongst the people working in it. And what world-class research in a teaching hospital does, it gives people pride and commitment in their institution. And that is absolutely vital. Absolutely vital. Pride and commitment in the place you work in, because it teaches well, it has outstanding research, and it has outstanding care. So, going back to the beginning, what the America's Cup did for Fremantle and for the morale of Australia, for those of you who lived through that, I think the Royal Perth Foundation has done for medical research and health in Perth, in Western Australia, and in fact, far beyond there. Thank you.